and shooting your career shots. So basically, you know there are different shots you can shoot. Praise God. Praise God. There are different shots you can shoot. And one of the most important shots you can shoot in your life is your career shot. And most of us are always scared of shooting that shot because we are scared of rejections. I don't know how many of you have gotten rejection mails in your life before. If you have not gotten rejection mail, just wave your hand. Like you've never gotten a rejection mail. You've never. Wow. You're my mentor. You've never gotten rejection mail. Oh, you're a student. Oh, okay. Don't worry. You'll soon graduate. I'm not saying you'll get rejection mail. I'm saying rejection mails are normal. So they are part of life. So basically, I'll try to talk about one or two things. I don't know if somebody operating the slide. Okay. So basically, I'll try to focus on. So before you can shoot your career shot, one of the most important things you must have is your resume. Resume is your CV. So if you don't have a CV or a LinkedIn profile, so I don't know if you heard when Mr. Joshua was talking, we had a conversation earlier, and he was asking me how I got the current job that I do, and I told him I got it through LinkedIn. Funny enough, the employer did not even check my CV. I mean, I did not send my CV to the person that gave me the job. All the person checked was my LinkedIn profile. So one of the most important steps you must take in shooting your career shot is actually to have an updated LinkedIn profile. I mean, take your LinkedIn profile serious. The same way you take your Instagram, take your LinkedIn profile. If you take your LinkedIn profile the same way you take your Instagram serious, trust me, you will get a good job. So basically, and a CV is likely not going to give you a job. I mean, just a CV on its own, it's not going to give you a job. So you need to have good content before a CV can give you a job. So this is how I want you to think of your CV. So think of your CV as a marketing material. Your CV is a marketing material that is marketing you. So for example, you are the product and your CV is the material marketing you. So one of the most important documents in your lifetime that you can ever have, is your CV. So your primary school certificates, your secondary school certificates, your university certificates, all those skills that you've gathered throughout your year, they are contained in one CV, and it's one document, and it's called your CV. And most of us actually don't take that document serious. So I'll just run through what your CV should look like. Basically, so just help me with the next slide. So basically, there are some sections in your CV that are very important. One of the first section is actually your personal information section. How many of you have your names on your CV here? You have your names. You have your phone numbers. You have your emails. Some people use emails like jesusbaby@yahoo.com, jesusforlife@gmail.com. There are some emails that you think is spiritual, but when recruiters like us see it, this person is not ready to work. Do you get? So make sure you have official email address. For example, your first name, your last name, simple. Then also, another important part of your personal information section is your address. So I know we spoke about address previously, but this is how you should write your address in your CV. Nobody needs to know your full address. So what you should do is use the closest bus stop to your house. For example, if you stay in Challenge, Ibadan. If you stay in Bodija, Ibadan. If you stay in Lagos, Victoria Island, Lagos, nobody needs any business with your full. In fact, the security situation of this country is the reason why you should not even put it. The reason why recruiters ask for your address is to know if you are close to the location of the job. So for example, if you send me your CV and your CV states your address is Ibadan, and you're applying for a job in Lagos, trust me, I likely would not consider it. Because I want somebody close to my destination. Okay. Okay, so for example, like Pastor Tolu just asked, if you are shooting your shot for a job in Abuja and you stay in Lagos, if you want to work in Abuja, I expect you to have somebody that you can stay with when you get to Abuja. So put that person's address on your CV. Do you get? It makes it easy. So when I'm interviewing you, I'm not even asking you where you stay because I already know that you stay in Cuba, Abuja. You stay with the president at Aso Rock, Abuja. I'll give you the job. But if I see that you stay in Iwo Road, in Ibadan, and you want a job in Abuja, trust me, your CV will, even though you have the required skills, I'm going to be thinking of, cost of relocation. This person is going to ask for triple money because the person stays in Abuja, in Ibadan, and wants to come to Abuja. So there's a very high probability that the recruiter would not consider you. So make sure you use the address of the state you're applying for. Hope that works. Okay, then also, so then your career objective. So there's what we call career objective. That's thing that you guys put in front of your CV. I'm a diligent, hard worker. I can work under pressure. All those big grammar I used to blow for a lot of us. So that part of your CV is one of the most important parts of your CV. You know why? A lot of recruiters, that's the first thing they see. So in those 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, it should actually capture your entire skills. So in that section, I'm expecting you to tell me what you do, what's your interest in, and the skills that you have. Do you get? So it is either called your career objective or your professional summary. So it is called your career objective at the entry stage of your career. So for example, if you are just a graduate of accounting and you are shooting your career shot, what I expect there is, I'm a graduate of financial accounting from University of Ibadan who possesses this and this skill. I can add value in this area. So you are telling me about yourself, but you are also selling yourself in that career objective. So if you are experienced and you have a professional summary, what I'm expecting you to put there is all the achievements that you have done in this life. Put it in that 1, 2, 3. Most of us, we did comprehension, summary. That is when we use your skills. Put it in that 1, 2, 3, 4 lines and sell yourself. So most of the time, when I look at CVs, I don't know if you guys have heard about the 6-second rule. Recruiters don't spend more than 6 to 8 seconds scanning your CV. And before I became a recruiter, I thought that was a lie. But trust me, it is very true. I'm not saying it's the truth. It is very true. I do not spend more than, except the CV is exciting. When I mean exciting, it is the career objective or the professional summary that makes it exciting for me. If I see that the person has content, it means I'm going to look at the CV. But if I see that there's no content there, trust me, I would really not spend time reading a CV that's really not attractive. And also your work experience. So your work experience is not the section where you write that I sent emails. Your work experience is where you talk about your achievements. Your work experience is not telling us about your duties, your functions. Because you're a banker, you're not going to be telling me that I counted money, or you're a financial accountant, I prepared financial statements. You're telling me that financial statement that I prepared, how did it impact my organization? So you must be able to quantify your work experience, because everybody is a financial accountant. Everybody is a banker. Everybody is a software engineer. So the question now is, what did you do differently where you worked that somebody else did not do? Because I'm looking through 1,000 CVs of accountants, and all of them can prepare financial statements. All of them can do audits. All of them can do tax. But what kind of audits or tax did you prepare at your previous organization that made you different from others? So you must be, even in sales, you must be able to quantify your work experience. Then one of the most important part of your CV is your skill section. So if you have a CV, go back and check. Do you have a section? For example, if you work as a project manager, I want to see skills like I can do agile. I understand lean management. If you work in customer service, I want to see stuff like client retention. I want to see stuff like, you get. So the technical skills are skills that are specific to your area of industry. Not a general, everybody can communicate. Everybody can manage team. Everybody will say they have emotional intelligence. But I want to see, for example, most of us in our CVs put proficiency in Microsoft Excel. And I've been in interviews where I've asked, okay, so what Microsoft Excel skills do you have? Add, subtract. How now? How will you say you're proficient in So just, if you know you don't know Microsoft Excel, just put basic Excel skills. Because those kind of things makes you an interviewer just say this candidate is not ready. Do you understand? So make sure that the skills that you put in your CV are skills that you actually have. And make sure they are technical skills. Then education and certifications. So the school you graduated with, the degree, if you are lucky enough to graduate the first class or it's so and you can flaunt it and brag about it. But if you graduated with a 2-2, forget it. Don't include it. Just leave your CV like that. And by the way, graduating with a 2-2, a third class, is not a disadvantage in any way. Since the day I've been recruiting, and I'm being sincere here, I have for once never checked the grade of anybody that I've recruited. I mean, I've never gone to the education section. The first thing I want to look at is the skills that you have and your work experience. The only time, okay. No. Don't get me wrong. When I say so, your certification, your degree gives you an advantage, an earlier advantage over a lot of people. For example, banks do graduate recruitment. Multinationals do graduate recruitment, graduate training programs. And most of the people that they will consider first are those with first class and so on. You know the reason they are doing that? It's not because of you that have 2-2, you are not sound. It's because of they want to reduce the number of people. And I'm being sincere. So my point is, by the way, I finished with a 2-1. So when I say finish with a good grade, please finish with a good grade. Don't finish with a 2-2. If you're on a 2-2 and you know that you cannot sustain yourself, just keep pushing. God will help you to finish the 2-1. Do you understand? Well, my point is simple. Don't let your grade move you backwards. If I see somebody that finished with a 2-1 and somebody that finished with a 2-2, and the person that finished with a 2-1 does not have work experience, the person that finished with a 2-2 has work experience, I'll pick that person with a 2-2 over you that have a 2-1. My question will be, you that have a 2-1, what did you do at school? What did you join ISEC? I think Mr. Joshua, did you join JCI? What did you do at your fellowship? I'm going to ask you those questions. So basically, it's not just about your grade. Like I said, finish with a good grade is important. Don't say it was me, Mr. Timmy, that said you should finish with a 2-2, please. If you come to my organization and I'm recruiting, I'll tell you where's your certificate. But that's just on a lighter note. Can you help me move to the next slide? Okay, so basically, so like I said, your accomplishments must be quantified. Then you don't need to put the references on your So for example, I have a job application template. So since January 2021 till April, I applied for, by the way, I still apply for jobs. In case you are recruiting, you can recruit me. I applied for about 30 jobs, which means I track every job that I apply for. I applied for about 30 jobs, and I track every job that I apply for. So I have an Excel and Google sheet that after I apply for every job, I go back to that sheet and I write, applied for Chevron, applied for Mobile, applied for Sterling Bank. I just mentioned some of the places I want to work in, so in case you have openings, you can recruit me. But basically, what I'm telling you is that when you track the jobs that you apply for, it helps you know how many jobs did I apply for this month, how many interview invites did I even get, how many ghosted me. It tells you how quality your CV is. So for example, out of those 30 jobs I applied for, 25 got back to me. I had about 17 interviews. None of them recruited me on. You get. But the question is, I applied for 30 jobs and I had 17 interviews. That means my CV is good, really good. And by the way, I didn't apply for any jobs. I applied for jobs that I know that I can get. Because some people, we apply for jobs that we know that in this life, we cannot get it. You have internship experience and you're applying for a managerial role. Do you get? So the reason I track my application is for me to go back and see how well my CV is doing. And it also helps me think again that, oh, I've had thousands of, so by the way, I had a lot of rejection mails. So I send rejection mails to people too. I work in HR. So when I see rejection mails, I take it with a very sweet heart. Like, it's normal. And when you see rejection mail, you know there's always this part that they tell you that we'll keep your CV and we'll get back to you. We have openings in the future. I will not say anything about that. But basically, trust me, people get back. Like the first job I had, I applied for the job in January, and they reached out to me in April. So it took about 3 months for them to reach out to me. So sometimes when you apply for jobs, you might forget. And sometimes when they are not looking at, for example, I have a CV database. That if I want to recruit anybody now, I just go there and check for the skills, and I pick from there and give the person the job. So sometimes you might be lucky, sometimes you might not. So it works in different ways. So basically, like I said, track your applications. The 6-second rules is very important. Know when to stop applying for jobs. Know when to ask for a salary increase. And know when you are not fit for a salary increase. Know some of us, when I spoke about the fact that I've changed 3 jobs in the space of 2 or 3 years, I was able to change those jobs because, I really worked on myself. I've taken I use all my savings in this life to do certifications. My mommy wanted to borrow me money. I told her to keep her money. I don't want to be a debtor. So I use my savings, my entire life savings, to take an international certification in HR. And by the way, when I do interviews, I don't tell people that I am certified in HR. It's on my CV. Look at it by yourself. My CV is my bragging rights. So when my CV is in front of you, my CV is telling you that I have everything that you are looking for. All you just need to do is call me and offer me the job. Do you get? So at the point where you are applying for jobs, know your worth. And if you are currently okay where you are working, you don't need a higher salary. You are comfortable. One of the ways to test your worth, your job worth in the job market, is to apply for jobs. If you are currently working in an organization where you don't need salary increase, apply for jobs. You know why you're applying for jobs. When you apply for those jobs, it tells you how much you are worth. So for example, if you are working in a Chevron, for instance, sorry I'm mentioning all these big names, the names are coming to my head. If you are in Chevron and you are okay, like you worked in Chevron for 2 years, and Chevron is paying you 500,000 naira, and you don't need a job, you are comfortable, you can take care of your family, package your CV and apply for a job. Like, just joke around it. And when you get to that job, and you pass the interview, and they tell you how much are you expecting, call a value. For example, call like 800K. Maybe they will now tell you, oh, we cannot pay 800, we can pay 750. It will now tell you that your current worth in the market is 750 and not 500 that Chevron is currently paying you. Do you get? So you must be able to sell yourself. If not, you just crush your leg in one place and sit down in an organization. But also be careful. But also be careful. When I say you should change jobs, if you're in an organization that has a structure, that you know that after 1 year, 2 years, you can grow, that you know that you'll be promoted if you perform very well, please stay. It was the other way around for me because I started working with SMEs at the beginning of my career, and I knew that they didn't have that structure yet. So all I wanted to do was to take the necessary values and skills and move on. Do you get? So what I'm going to advise you, so it's called job hopping. Job hopping means that you jump from one job to another, you jump from one job to another. So please, if you're in an organization that has a structure, a very good organization, please stay. Because as a recruiter also, when I see your people's CV, and I see that you spend 6 months here, 1 year here, 2 months here, I'll question you. Like, why exactly did you move? But if your reasons are genuine, trust me, you'll get the job. You get? And one last thing I want to say, because I believe my time is up, is one of the most important things for you to always do in this generation is please use Google. I tell people that Google can answer all your problems in this life. But, no, obviously not spiritual, but all your career problems. I mean, anything you're looking for in this life, how to use Excel, how to pass interview, how to ask for a raise, how, as a student, how do you, anything you're asking, you want in this life, just type it on Google. Google will answer you. Sorry, so the time that we spend on other social media sites that are also very good, please spend it on Google and learn as much as you can learn. And also, you make sure you utilize YouTube very well. I call it the school of Google and the school of YouTube. They don't have certifications, but they are the most important school that you could ever go through. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Wow. All of our day, big problem. But tomorrow is another day anyway. So without wasting much time, please put your hands together for Michael Oyeleke as he comes up for his own. I hope we're jotting things down now.
Praise God. Praise the Lord. People are weak. Oh. Tell your neighbor, are you weak? Ask your neighbor. Ask, are you weak? Are you tired already? Do you want to go home? Ask him, are you learning? Have you learned? Because as for me, say as for me, I am learning. As for me, I will learn. Let's appreciate the last speaker, please. Let's appreciate him once more. Please, let's appreciate him. You know why I said we should appreciate him? Because he has softened my job. Sincerely, I'm standing here to talk about writing a winning CV. And he has done justice to that. That's why I said you should appreciate him. But at the same time, it will interest you to know that not everybody requires a CV. Not everybody requires to write a CV. Because some people might think, I don't really need a CV. I want to be an entrepreneur. So you don't definitely need a CV. But, you know, many a times I do and understand people say CV, resume, CV, resume. Is there a difference between them? Are they used interchangeably? Could they be used interchangeably? Or are there discrepancies that we need to shed more light on? Talking about CV and resume. Okay, let's start from here. When you talk about a CV, CVs and resume are not the same. But most of us, or most applicants, mistaking them for the other. I want to let you know this afternoon that resume is from a French word, which means to sum up. Talking about resume is, it has a limit. It has a length limit, so to say. It means to sum something up. It's not, when you talk about a CV, it's not to sum up. It's a longer page document. Now, let me explain what a resume is before I go to a CV. A resume is a 1 to 2 page document presenting key facts about your professional experience, your educational background, your professional experience, your educational background, and your skills. That's what a resume talks about. A resume is not expected to be lengthy. It has to be professional. It has to talk about your experience, talk about your skills, and probably your trainings. And I want to tell you that resumes are used to apply for jobs. On the contrary, a CV is a longer document that is used to, it's a longer document that talks about a course of life, an entire course of life. When you talk about CV, CV is a Latin word, curriculum vitae, and it means a whole course of life. It talks about a course of life, the holistic of what you have been doing from probably, you know, when you talk about what you've been doing so far, someone could finish junior secondary and have probably, he has a sister that's into retail and be a sales rep there. You understand? That's what a CV could accommodate. But when you talk about a resume, it has to be professional. Now, there are differences. These are the differences. The first difference between a resume and a CV is, one, a resume has a length limit, while a CV doesn't. That's why whenever you, and I want to tell you, a CV is most of the time used for academic purposes. That's when you see lecturers, they say you send CV. CV are numbered, the pages of CVs are numberless. But when you talk about resume, it should be within a page or two because it is expected to be professional. Professional in the sense that it is detailed in line with the job role you are applying for. That's why it's a resume. It must be in accordance to that job experience. This is what I'm trying to say. For example, I'm applying as an HR for an organization. And probably I have an experience about business development in another organization. It is not expected of me to put my experience as a business development manager in an organization where I am applying as an HR. Because there's no synergy between that experience and this new challenge I'm going to. So if you, by any chance, want to change career or you want to go into another thing entirely, you should have the skills that are required for that role. If you say, I hear. If you understand, say, I understand. So what I'm trying to say in essence is this. A resume is not a CV, but people do use them interchangeably, but they are not the same. So before I go forward, I'll basically talk about tips. Although he has done justice to that, he has said a lot of things about that, but at the same time, I'll talk about major tips that you need to add to what he has said. Because I can tell you, over my 8 years experience in administration and human resource, over 80 CVs do not get beyond that level of application. I mean, over 80% CVs or resumes do not get beyond that level of you sending your CV for a job application. Because, you know, the reason is this. Most of the times, it's said, we barely use 6-7 seconds on a particular CV or a particular resume because there is no time. There are an array of resumes to check and to see. And most of the time, what we use, he mentioned 8 years. Once you use 8 years and there are no keywords on your CV, definitely you won't go beyond that stage. And I have come to realize the fact that most CVs didn't get beyond that stage because, one, because of unprofessional format. I mean, unprofessional CV layout. That's one of the reasons why they don't get beyond that stage. There are some font styles you should use. There are font sizes you should use. There are some fonts that are expected to be used to write a CV. There are some font sizes you are not supposed to see in a CV at all. But many people don't understand that. Number 2 is outdated or irrelevant information. I've seen CVs whereby find your professional summary or personal profile is important. But many people, CVs doesn't have that. They just start with, they even put their local government there. I've seen a lot of CVs like that. Local government of origin, they put it there. Their date of birth, they put it there. Except occasion demands. Except the invitation or the advert requires you to put all these things, which they will not. They will never ask you to put your local government, your house address, Fine, address is important, like he said. Just put the closest landmark. Challenge Ibadan. I don't want to be repeating all he has said. Then another thing why people don't get beyond that stage of getting to that interview, because you say when you see resumes and CV, writing a winning CV is that kind of CV that will take you from your house and put you on that interview seat. And that's a winning CV. And you see, by the time we use all the softwares or we check the necessary things we should expect to see in your CV and they are not there, we won't get to call you back. And these are one of the reasons why we don't call you back. Another thing is poor choice of file name. You already mentioned that. Another thing is non-adherence to process where specified. There are some job adverts that it will be specified that, okay, for you to apply for this role, you must have this certification. Probably ICANN, probably ACA, and what have you. Once you don't have that qualification, because by the time we use ATS, your CV will not even show at all. So it's not the fault of the HR manager. It's not the fault of the HR manager because your CV is not properly tailored. I do advise employees or candidates, why don't you let a professional undo your CV? Someone was saying, that means I have to go and sit down and rewrite my CV. I said, yes. But there's this saying in Yoruba that what a child can't see when you climb Cocoa House, another will see it while he's sitting. So what I'm trying to say is, even if you stay from now till next year and you want to write your CV yourself, I'm not saying you should not write your CV yourself, but my point is, ensure you make use of those keywords that has to do with your profession, the job role you are applying for. If you say I hear. Because by the time that CV is screened and those key roles or those keywords are not there, definitely you will not see a get back. Let's continue. Now, let's go to the tips you need to know about writing a winning CV. Tip number 1, your style and your format. An effective resume is consistent. You know, many a times you see some people, they start with their name. Fine, your name should be boldly written. You see some resumes or some CVs, you see the title of their resume is Curriculum Vitae. That's absolutely wrong. Your CV should start with your name. Your name should be the beginning, should start, whenever people open your CV, your name should be boldly written. And your address, Challenge Ibadan or Onireke Ibadan. And like he said, if you're applying for outside Ibadan, use the closest landmark to that place you're applying for. There should be someone you know somewhere. You necessarily might not need to stay with the person at the end of the day, but you putting the person's address on your CV gives you an avenue to be on that interview seat to sell yourself better. Moreover, you might even have the skill set for the job. You might have another advantage even people around doesn't have, but how would you get to that interview seat is what is germane. If you hear, say I hear. Now, another thing is that you avoid tiny fonts. If you are writing your CV, I would advise you use between 10 and 12. The front size should be within 10 and 12. Because if your CV is too tiny, I don't have the whole day on your own CV alone. I have another number, over 100 CVs to screen and to see. But if you are straining my eyes, especially me that doesn't have good eyes like this, you can see I'm using extra eyes. So I wouldn't want to stay much or longer on your CV. Another thing you need to take note on that is use bold headings. You know, talking about your work experience, professional experience. For example, you worked with Foodco. The name of the organization, your job role, and the duration of time you used. Okay, from this social time to this social time. Make it bold. Make that heading bold, and you make sure the job duties, your duties you did, you exemplify or you perform there are tailored to the job role. If you hear, say I hear. Now, tip 2, professional profile. Personal profile, so to say. Personal profile. He mentioned that earlier as well. And that is where you can sell yourself. It should be between 5 to 10 lines paragraph. It's just one paragraph. But that paragraph, if I should go through that paragraph while I observe in your CV and I'm not impressed, it is not accommodating, so to say, definitely I might be pissed and not go through your work experience and other things. Because that's the first thing I need to get to know about you. Your CV is what to sell you even before you meet with your employer. And once you are not impressive, definitely you won't get to be called back. So personal profile is germane. And he already explained it. I don't want to say much or too repeating what he has said. The things you need to make mention there is has to do with the job role you are applying for. For example, you are an HR person. Probably you study human resource, or even if you don't study human resource, you study sociology, you study psychology. What skill have you added to yourself? What are the skills that has to do with HR that you have gotten and you have added? Tell us there. If you have any experience about it on the job, make it known there. And if there are other things, probably like unconditional positive regard, you talk about genuineness, you talk about empathic understanding, because you have to empathize with candidates. You have to empathize with your colleagues in the job. So all these things are very important. You make mention there of them on your personal profile. Another thing I would make mention of as tip number 3 is skills and expertise. You know, since the beginning of this program, speakers that have spoken emphasize much on skills. They emphasize much on expertise. Skills, I can tell you today, skills sell more than certificates. Take it or you leave it. Skills, professional skills, sell more than certificates. Certificates, I'm not talking about professional certificates, I'm talking about probably your MSc or your PhD or anything. Add skills to yourself. Even when you have not gotten the job yet, and you learn about a skill, probably you learn about web development, you learn about graphic design, you learn about several other skills that has to be in alignment with the job role you are applying for. Because, we said you have to be focused. And once you are focused, you always work in alignment and in accordance to that your target, even when you are waiting. So your skills will add more value to you. Your skill, even at the end of the day, when your employer sees your CV, so you have this soft skill, you have these skills. To every job, there are soft skills required. The same soft skills that are required for a marketer is not the same that is required of an HR. The same soft skills that is required of an accountant. I don't expect an accountant to be talking and talking and talking and talking. It's not required. It's not necessary. But as an HR, you should have good communication skills. It's part of it. And for someone to have good communication skills doesn't mean he has good human relation. As an HR, you must have good human relation. You must know how to work with people and make people work. Because there definitely will be issues in the workspace. There will definitely be misunderstanding in the workspace. So as an HR, you should know how to manage people. If you don't have the soft skills to manage people, you are not required or you are not expected to apply for that. And so be it to every other job role as well. So the next tip I would rather like to talk about is your work-related experience. Please, talking about resume, it is only a job experience that is related to the job role you are applying for that should be on your resume. Because it has to be concise and it has to be straightforward. And talking about that, I would say list your work experience in reverse chronological order. I've seen CVs or resumes whereby the first job they did in their lifetime will be the first job employers will see. You are pissing your employer off already. Because your employer wants to know what was the update is what the employer is interested in. He wants to know what's the last thing you did. How do you do it? Have you updated your memory? Because if you are putting that last thing, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and you can make use of some HR tools, or you make use of accounting tools or any other professional tools, and it is not seen in your first page or on your CV, definitely the employer might think you don't even have what he or she is looking for. So that is very germane. Then provide your key responsibilities and key achievements or projects in line with each work experience. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I said you provide your experience in alignment with the job role. That's just the simple thing that is saying. Another thing is remember to put into consideration the job description provided for in your job you are applying for. So tip number 4. This is very important. Job title and date. Job title and date. It is in alignment with you talking about your work experience. You mention the job title. You don't say 2016. I worked as a business development manager with a company in 2016. That is wrong on your CV. When in 2016? From 2016 May to 2018 July. Be detailed so that they can know, okay, this is what you did. Because employers want to know, why is there a vacuum in your CV? Does it mean you are sleeping at home? Or you are just sleeping and waking at home. So that is very important to ensure the job title and the date are put in place. One cap doesn't fit all. And that's tip number 6. I would say you should be strategic about landing your dream job and tailor your resume appropriately to the need of the organization. There are some organizations that will say, okay, I'm recruiting for a sales manager. You must ensure your CV has those keywords according to the job analysis sent out for application. You know, before any application, there's something we call job analysis. That's what you see for applications. They'll tell you what the job entails. So ensure you tailor your CV to that requirements of the organization before you send your CV down there. Somebody will say, but I gave a professional to write my CV for me. A professional will write your CV based on probably your previous experience or your discipline. To suit your experience because you might study psychology and you're not practicing psychology, rather you are practicing human resource. And you've practiced that for about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So your CV will be professionally written in alignment with human resource. Are we together? Are we together? So the next tip is, what I would advise is, you research about the organization or the job you are applying for. You research about the organization or the job you are applying for. Fine, someone will say there are some jobs that they won't mention the name of the organization. That is true. That is very true. But the job role or the job title will be announced, which is why you are applying. So you research, because I think was it on Tuesday or Monday, I was having an interview, and I'm asking a particular candidate. He applied for
said, we'll be having a raffle. It's not to get you people to come, but it's just part of the program that we are having a raffle, and like there are prizes to be won, wonderful prizes to be won. So let's come on time as well. We'll be starting by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be having Pastor Somi Popola from the Transformed Nations in Lagos. He's an anointed man of God. I'm excited for a session, and we'll be having Pastor Tolu Mudi as well from Sycamore Church, Ibadan. Great men of God are going to be coming, and our pastor as well, Pastor Tolu, will be delivering a session as well. So let's come for the spiritual impactation. God bless you. As you do so, can we rise to our feet? Let's share the grace together in fellowship.
One more time, I just want to thank, because I don't know if we're having them tomorrow, Mr. Michael Oyeleke and Mr. Timilei Shonibara. You guys have been really awesome. Thanks for adding so much value to this conference. If I may, I would ask that you just spare 20 minutes so that the people that have their CVs can just have a chat with you. I know in the workshop we weren't able to really engage with people and their CVs. They're here for this time, so you might as well get the most from it. If you have your CVs, this is a good time to just have a chat with these really experienced guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Can we just rise as we share the grace together in fellowship? Now may the grace of our